Okay, we're here. You don't see us, not yet. Robert and I, for the moment, we're waiting for some others. And welcome to Masculine Geek number 132. This is the Fireside Chats. And this is random geekery and random shit. So,
yeah, smoke them if you got them.
That's right. Drink them if you have them.
If you don't, what are you doing?
I know, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's Wednesday night. How can you not be drinking and smoking on Wednesday night?
Exactly. What's up, Mictobus, Bull Rush, Daryl, Bacon? You fucking schlong lickers. Good to see you guys. Well, in a manner of speaking.
Yeah, definitely good to have you here.
Yeah.
Although we did get to see some of them this past Saturday at a certain gathering on the MG.
We did. It was cool. And those are always fun. It's nice to have a uncensored, unmonitored, unrecorded talk.
Yes, membership has its perks.
This is true. If you're not an MG life, I don't know what to tell you. You're just a huge Spurgeon retard. So,
and probably very happy with the decisions made by GenCon post their refund deadline.
Christ.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't heard and who might be planning on attending GenCon because you were gamers, they announced in their latest August safe and healthy or health and safety update. Hi, we're the GenCon health and safety officers. We're here to help you be more of a Spurgeon retard.
Safety officers.
God,
ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyway, the most important announcement to come out of this is mask wearing will be required at all indoor and crowded outdoor GenCon spaces. You must be wearing a mask while attending GenCon Indy.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, unless you're actively eating and drinking, because then the virus magically goes away.
Just walk around with a with an empty mug and take a sip every now and then. Just leave your mask down.
There are tons of people actually doing that in airports. That's the thing. I mean,
that was my MO.
Yeah,
Jimmy.
But accordingly, they are dropping the option to show proof of vaccination. So they will not be asking you to see your papers. But you crowded outdoor GenCon spaces and all indoor spaces. Now, this is despite the fact that in Indiana and in Indianapolis, we do not have a mask mandate right now. But this is all on GenCon. And of course, they made this announcement after the refund deadline. And so whether they will change their mind on that as far as the refund, I don't see them changing their mind on the mask policy, because there are tons of people that are like, well, this is great, but it's still not draconian enough. You shouldn't let anyone at GenCon attend GenCon if they haven't been vaccinated. So, I mean, and some of those people are professionals, not just within the industry, but I mean, one of them is a dealer who makes high-end gaming backgrounds and things. So I'm not going
backgrounds. You mean like shit you hang from your wall?
No, I mean like the stuff that you would play on. So the stuff that you use for your miniatures. So yeah, I'm not gonna name any names on your show, Vince, because that's just I'm just not going to do that.
I already know who you're talking about now.
Yeah. So so those high end play sets that you buy for your miniatures that you get and paint up and set together to run your dwarves through to hack away at goblins. That's just that he was very concerned that his staff attending the convention with people that may not be vaccinated. So those dirty, unwashed hordes. Those people. So anyway,
if you actually gave a shit, you wouldn't be going. If you're really that worried, you wouldn't be going to begin with.
This is all virtue signaling. You know what? I don't even believe that they actually believe this.
No,
the Emperor has no clothes.
Yeah.
I think that they know it's exaggerated. They know that they're being lied to. They don't care. They're playing along with the lies because they think that it serves their side's agenda. I know that a lot of them are genuinely complete fucking idiots, but it's hard for me to believe that so many. For example, I've been arguing with some college professors at some place up in Canada, I think Ottawa or something, about this. And these are people who should know better, but I suspect they're either so blinded by ideology or so worried about going against all of their leftist colleagues that they are also playing along with this. And the whole thing seems insane. It's like a bad episode of the Twilight Zone.
Oh, very bad. And and of course, I don't know. You look at the two ladies, and I use that term ironically, that run the GenCon YouTube page, for example. I've sent you links to their pictures. The one, really, they both, but one in particular could not be more of a blue-haired, purple-haired, land whale, SJW, tatted up stereotype. If they tried to be. I mean, if I was casting in a movie, that's what I would want the makeup artist to do to the actress to make her fit the part. And so I don't know. There are definitely some people out there that are hardcore true believers, and it's very much at a cult status levels. But you are absolutely right too, Drew, that they will go along with anything as long as it furthers their agenda. And of course, from a masculine geek perspective on all of this, what's really upsetting is GenCon is a big con for me for several reasons, not least of which I do a lot of networking, not only for myself, but on behalf of certain artists, friends, and others to whom I have helped set up job interviews and help negotiate and help arrange work for these artists. And so, I mean, GenCon is very much a working convention for me. And now I am put in a very difficult place where I can either, say to hell with my principles, put on a mask and shut up and go and try to work, or I can say, screw it. And gentlemen, I'm at a place in my life and just on principles that I would rather miss out on some potential work on principle than swallow my pride, tuck my testicles between my legs as if I'm Buffalo Bob and and go to GenCon. So it's it's not going to happen. Yeah, exactly. And well, okay, we've got someone here on the panel who is a professional in the gaming industry. Who's been remarkably restrained and quiet. What do you think? Am I just overreacting and just being a grumpy old man, or talk to us?
Let us have it, James.
Yeah, let's
I don't actually know. It's because Master. I understand that Master are inconvenient and annoying. I tend to like them when I have not shaved in a given day, but besides that, I completely understand. And it's more about like you're saying, it's more about the principle of the thing is you're going to naturally bristle at people who are just kind of, even if they're just inconveniencing you to express power, some people are naturally going to bristle at that. And under which they should, because it's like, you're kind of being a dick. And if somebody is being a dick who owns this thing that you enjoy, it feels personal. It feels personal. I mean, I got my career started in the game design out of spite, as I've mentioned. When people would say, people who were in charge of certain things, that I wanted certain changes made, or I felt that certain decisions shouldn't have been made, there would be a response of this person who is in charge being a dick, and not like things that were not, I've done all the math on this and you haven't, and like here's why I shouldn't have to explain this to you. Just, I shouldn't have to explain this to you. You should already understand that I've made the correct decision. And I would bristle at that, and that's how I got my start in the game design industry.
You got your dander up.
Exactly. It's
really
so when it comes to something like GenCon, this is something you have a personal attachment to. This is something that somebody's being a dick. because they like expressing, because low status, it's an opportunity for low status people to express power over people
It wouldn't
that
normally
have
be
no control
wouldn't
over.
normally be doing it. Yes,
Exactly. They would
Yep.
normally have no impact on me. So go to a different convention is the easiest thing. Go to BaseCon. I think
what about Origins and Dragon Con and WinterCon and
Well,
I don't know about Dragon Con. I think it is on this year. I don't have the money to go to a different convention this year, which is a shame.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't have the combination of spare money and spare time.
Yeah.
I have to choose one or the other, and I want to keep both.
Mm-hmm.
So BaseCon is up in Michigan. It's $139 for 3 days. You could tack on an extra $40 to do lodging for 2 days, I think it is. And there you have an alternative. You get to meet with indie publishing authors.
Mm-hmm.
I think Travis Corkin, who is Morlock P on Twitter, is doing a talk the first day, and I love that guy. He is. If you have any libertarian or anarchist instincts, whatever, that guy is right up your alley. He's going to be that guy. The way he attacks culture and politics, anything that you can imagine, is perfect. He's a talented author too. Ditto for Robert Cross. So there are people finally engaged, generating like institutions that you can attach yourself to and get personally attached to, the way you did with GenCon, because it's a major cultural event. Everybody from everywhere is coming in. I had the same reaction to Dragon Con, because I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Everybody's in cosplay, everybody's drunk, everybody's horny. And
it's Dragon Con is Mardi Gras for geeks and nerds.
Yeah,
but it is also reached a point of critical mass in that it is so large, and in some ways has become so commercialized. But he is absolutely right, especially when it comes to the costuming aspect of it, is that it is like the World Series for costumers. I mean, it even overshadows San Diego Comic-Con as far as the number of costumes and the quality level of costumes. And the
stores the merch they have access to there. My buddy Duncan, who I met for that trip, made like a Lord of the Rings cosplay while he was down there, based off things that he just bought from the stores. He just cobbled some shit together. It's ridiculous. What's up?
He just cobbled some shit together.
Literally. Yeah. Except there was a bunch of the stuff that you could buy there is high quality. Right? So they're like, oh, I want a costume. I'm gonna spend a couple $100, which you're gonna do at a convention anyways, and now I have my own cosplay.
Yeah.
Or I have another cosplay.
Yeah, if you're walking around in like shorts and a t-shirt, you feel like you're underdressed, because just the level of costumes and stuff is there. And one of the other things, of course, this is about 10 years ago, and of course now it is so big, they have this stuff so spread out all over the city of Atlanta, downtown in that area. But at the time, when it was only basically in 2 or 3 hotels, the gaming aspect of the convention was in the basement of one of the hotels. And I was conversing with a guy who had gone for 2 or 3 years to game, and exclusively to game. And I'm like, well, have you ever gone upstairs to any of the parties? And, because I using those words, Mardi Gras for geeks and nerds. And he's like, no, I'm so busy all weekend. I'm gaming all weekend, so I don't see any of that. Yeah.
Or you're stuck at your dealer chair.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, next time you go, you got to do that. Well, I ran into this guy again at my local comic shop, and he came up to me and he's like, I owe you an apology. I'm like looking at him, and it's like,
what are you talking about?
What the hell are you talking about? He's like, the last time we talked before Dragon Con, I thought you were just exaggerating. I'm this guy is just, telling me crap about, actress from such and such sci-fi show picking up guys in the bar and you drinking with so-and-so. You were just making that crap up, and you were just feeding me a line of BS. And I knew it, but I wasn't going to call you a liar to your face. I just let it go. It's like, fanboys talking shit. And he's like, you undersold the debauchery level of Dragon Con and the kind of mingling with celebrities and so forth. And so I owe you an apology. And I'm like, well, dude, that was very stand-up of you to do. But so no, but I mean, it is something else. Origins this year is enacting some of the same stuff as GenCon, and really they and GenCon both with their whole stance against the resurrected TSR, which has now basically ceased to exist because they had to appease the mob. And because
they were being retards.
Yeah, and
let's be real about this. They were being retards online.
Yes.
If I can pack 60 different buzzwords with which have some sort of tag or association with the phrase SJW into a sentence, I will be popular and everybody will like me. No, everybody's going to think you're cringe and doing this transparently. They're retards online.
Yeah. But of course they capitulated and behaved in such a way as if the mob was going to forgive them. And that's that's the same kind of stupidity as the guy that tucks a buck in the G-string of a stripper and thinks he's going to get a happy ending in the champagne room. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. And Drew, that look you gave me, it's like my father disapproving of me.
The strippers?
Well,
if you want to pick up the strippers, you do not give them any money at all.
Oh, hell no. No,
idiots who go to strip clubs thinking that they're going to be able to just tip them into their bed. That doesn't work.
No, you wait till they come over wondering why you're ignoring them. And it's like, oh, because I'm studying Chaucer and I'm preparing for an exam later in the week. And they're like, oh, you know Chaucer? And strippers, it's amazing the kind of throats you run across at a strip club. Although I haven't been for a while since I was probably in the service. I was usually the designated drunk driver, which meant back in the day, I drove all the drunks around in the one rental car we had on base. And that meant I drank pretty much highly caffeinated soft drinks for free all night long because I was the designated driver. I don't even know if they do that in clubs anymore.
Good question.
So,
nice. I haven't been in one for a very, very long time.
No. Well, back in those days of my wild, reckless youth. But anyway, you're absolutely right about hitting the other cons. It's just the nice thing about things like Origins, GenCon, PAX those are big industry cons. And if you are networking or marketing yourself either as an editor, as an actor, as a model, as a whatever, it's a good place to be to meet with people. But you are also absolutely right, James, about the big mainstream companies. Their business model is not necessarily as important as their social standing within certain communities, and their way of wanting to do things is to make sure that you can play the quadruple amputee bound in a wheelchair and go through the dungeon adventuring with the barbarian and the gnome and the whatever. And you are going to have to look to some of these smaller companies who have a much it's not going to be a lot of money, but their hunger to achieve any kind of success or having any kind of artistic integrity for the product that they are creating is probably going to be your best bet for certain type of work in the future. And then of course there's always conventions like Garykhan, which is a smaller old school kind of convention, which
that's relatively new. I mean that started on the basically in the wake of Gary Gygax's death. So
right. So who knows, that might be something to hit sometime as a small group of us. So
I definitely want to do a Garykhan before it gets out of control.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's only up to.
That's what I'm going to drag.
It's the 11th year. Exactly. Yeah, and local stuff. Like back in 1991, I went to something called CocoCon in bumfuck Pennsylvania, and there was maybe 200 people there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was cool. It was 3 days. There was a hotel, a convenience store, and a gas station right off the turnpike, the PA turnpike, and that was it. So, and it was right after Christmas. It was the 27th, 28th, and 29th, I think, of 1991. So friends and I drove up and we hung out and played games. It was cool.
Right. Yeah, sometimes those Relaxicons can be actually a lot of fun. But sometimes some of them have become something else, and some of them are basically on their last legs and are dying, and they're basically the same, couple hundred people that all know each other and get together to sniff each other's flatulence and talk about how cool they all are to each other. And we have one of those locally as well. Actually, kind of two of them if you count the Star Trek convention, because they're usually, I believe they're both still done by the same people, even though there's listed as being separate organizations. But
never attended a Star Trek convention.
I have attended a couple. One of the best was up in Toronto, Canada.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Did you like it?
I had a blast, not least of which because the Canadians I met in Toronto were all super nice. Obviously, the Geek fans were all super cool. I was mainly hanging out with the Klingons, as I am wont to do. And this is back in the day when we weren't talking Klingorks from Discovery or whatever that crappy Alex Kurtzman show is. And also the organization wasn't overrun by female fans, and it was all about inclusion and everything else. It was basically a bunch of guys who, several of whom were military, ex-military, ex-cops, and it was all about, we're here to pound our chest, pound down alcohol, beat the crap out of each other, laugh, tell inappropriate jokes, and have a really good time, which is kind of what you would expect from Klingons. And
right,
so but no, it was a really good time.
Pretty standard, really.
Yeah, it was right around 91, I do believe. So Klingons between Star Trek The Next Generation and Star Trek 6, which was due to come out, were kind of at an all-time high as far as popularity and also being represented and in the public eye. And that particular convention, a couple of different Klingon clubs around the world were like, this is the club to try to make it to, this is the convention to make it to. So there was a rather large gathering of Klingons from all around the world. So it was a really good time. And they had free, beer in the pond suite.
And you said that with a straight face.
Oh, it was.
Klingons from all over the world.
Yeah, Klingons from all over the world, and it was a fun time. And
cool.
Much Canadian beer was consumed.
Did you ever run into anyone who knew the Klingon language?
I know a few people who do. Yes, wow. And as a matter of fact, the last Klingon Language Institute gathering for a weekend seminar class was here in Indianapolis. That was before 2020. So that was
some hardcore nerd shit. I like it.
Yeah, it is. And of course, since I tend to like the Klingons from the original series, which of course are in English and in that costume, which I actually have that costume. I think there are pictures of me with comic book writer and editor Roy Thomas. Oh, cool. And I'm wearing that Star Trek, the original series Klingon costume. Nice. In a picture with him. And I think it's on my Twitter somewhere. I'm sure someone's probably come across it at some point in time. But anyway, what I always do if I'm in that Klingon costume and someone comes up, I know a little bit of Klingon, but I am not at all fluent in it and have no plans on being fluent in it, because it would be much more beneficial for me to be fluent in German or Japanese or even Mandarin at this stage in my life, just based on some of the stuff I do and some of the people I work with, to waste that time learning Klingon just so I can, impress other nerds at a convention. So, but anyway, I always just say, I've been exiled on Earth for so long that it was, to even think in the Klingon language could have exposed me to the Federation. So, you can't
have any exposure.
Yeah. So, yeah. Trust me, no one wants me to expose myself right yet. So, but anyway, so, I know a little bit of Klingon. It's a fun, guttural sort of language, but, That's not going to
what
happen.
language? What languages does it remind you of? Like like a real, cultural language. Does it remind you of?
Sound-wise, Germanic or Russian, but linguistically, as far as the structure of the language, it's still very different from both of those. But I would not consider myself an expert enough on the subject to go into it. But of course, I'm surprised that I still remember some of the Dwarvish runes and stuff from the Lord of the Rings book. But that's only because I used to write letters to friends for our D&D game in those.
We were talking about that one of our last Fireside Chats, because then you've got the two Elvish language, the Sylvan and Quenya or Kenyan.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was great because the teacher steals a note, you're passing in German class, and she can't make heads or tails of it. And she has no idea.
Runes, yeah.
It's like, what are you up to? It's, so
just
between
scribble and scroll.
Yeah. So between that and listening to Led Zeppelin and Rush, I mean, you're pretty much guaranteed to be kind of a freak back in the day. So
absolutely.
Which of the absolute best kind.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the highest caliber.
Oh yeah.
Drew, now speaking of homegrown stuff and languages and whatnot, you want to talk a little bit about what you have in store for us as far as the second campaign that you're DMing?
Holy crap. I have actually been watching YouTube videos and some documentaries and stuff on medieval life in castles and villages, lots of Viking stuff, rereading some of the stuff that I have here, including some things I don't want to mention because I don't want to give away things that might
spoilers.
Spoilers, but it's interesting because I was actually talking with my brother the other night. We were talking about how different properties, intellectual properties that were big hits back in the 80s have been remade by SJWs so badly that it almost seems like they're trying to spite the original fans.
Right. They're miserable people, and they want to ruin your good time and remake all the fun shit that made you happy.
Yeah, complete assholes. And how it is not hard to take something that exists like this and do a good job with it. You have to go and look at what it was about these things that everybody really loved and take all that and try to make sure that you put that in there. And so what I've been doing is thinking of not the overall story yet, although in the process of thinking of these things, something has started to congeal, so to speak, but thinking of what would make a cool, exciting event that could happen. What would be an awesome setting? What would be an exciting thing? And just making notes on some of these things. And then when there's like an imagery that comes to mind that I want to work into it, I'll make a note of that. And so I've got a bunch of these different things that I think will be pretty cool that I'm just gradually putting together from some of these sources. And I think it's going to be awesome. The only thing, and I probably don't really need to get into this too much now, but the only thing that I haven't really sat down and done yet that I'm going to need to eventually is put together a map. I have looked at maps of Europe, Scandinavia, Middle East, and whatnot. I don't know how far the campaign is going to go from the 1800s or so forward, thinking in this alternate history. Well, one, there's magic. We've got to kind of have it for all the game stuff to work in the setting, but also the Roman Empire in this alternate history was decimated. And we'll just say some sort of a plague, probably zombies.
A pandemic, if you will.
A bunch of criminals that were all crucified on Golgotha on a particular day, instead of dying, just sat there rotting on the crosses without dying. And eventually when they took them down, they started biting the Romans, and the plague spread, and that was that. So the resurrection went a little differently than it did in this alternate universe. And so that was it for the Roman Empire. instead of spreading the way it did. So without that, the Norse, which of course, the Norse did travel a lot, not just the raiding, but trading and other things. And some of them were doing mercenary stuff in other places. So there is some influence of apparently some of the Greek mythology, Roman mythology in there.
Oh yeah, the Varangian guards out in the Xanthian.
Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself though. Instead of Christianity spreading throughout Europe, because of this zombie plague or whatever I end up doing with that, decimating Rome in a lot of the territories around that, the Norse, because of all their venturing out and trading, spread instead, and they became the dominant culture. So it's still in a medieval fantasy setting, but it is an alternate history Earth where it is in a medieval fantasy setting. The Norse pantheon, the Norse, the old gods are the ones that are worshipped, and there's still some other cults here and there and other pagan groups. But I need to put together a map because I have a feeling that we're going to be going places. I don't want to give anything away except to say that there's going to be some sailing involved.
Awesome. I like the sound of that.
That's cool. Some
and
nautical adventures.
Maybe some treachery of some kind. Still working out the details, but I want to talk about it because I'm excited about it.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't want to give away surprises either.
Well, make sure you check out some of the Viking place names. If you look at any of Bernard Cornwell's Viking saga books, the stuff the Last Kingdom TV series is based on, in the front of that, he has British, the Viking names, as well as like some of the at the time British names. So, for example, I was thinking about having my character come from Jorvik, which is the city of York in northern England.
Remind me, I'll do that. What I was
using the Viking name Jorvik instead.
I was going to run some of the place names just through an Icelandic or a Danish translator and use those names instead. But that would work. And I'm sure that they had names for these places.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, some of the places, some of this would, of course, be different because of history ran in a different direction in this world. Then, some of these places might have been destroyed. Some of them might have been taken over by completely different groups and renamed. So, the general shape of the land and the terrain and things like that will be the same. We got a lot to play around with, which saves me having to come up with an entire fantasy map, but I have to take an existing map and just make sure we've got boundaries and cities and other things that would make sense with this alternate history. And then as far as the whole zombie thing with the Romans and all that, because most of it was confined to the, Italy, of course, or what is now Italy, and also Mediterranean and Northern Africa, it's mostly there. So there are places there where, and I don't know if we're going to be able, and again, I don't want to give anything away, but if you cross the Mediterranean, if you go into Middle East, Africa, there are cities where there are rumored to be all sorts of riches, all sorts of wealth, but they're also infested with these undead and other monsters, and other adventurers who have tried to go there to go in search of some of these things, the treasure, some holy or magical relics and other things, have not ever come back. So that might be something that the party eventually decides they might want to attempt.
Now, now I'm really kind of concerned because we've already got a ranger with TJ and we've got a paladin with Rolo. I I don't know if I need to stay my pure fighter or if I need to switch those stats around and become a cleric. So we've got, if we're going to be dealing with undead.
Well, Drew did say he's going to have an NPC that might help us out with healing.
I don't want to give anything away, but the undead are probably going to play some role at some point.
Bring out your dead.
Yeah.
So, and what's the downside of being a cleric over a fighter other than you can't use edged weapons?
Right. So, if I was a cleric of Thor, obviously my weapon will be a hammer, and I'll be calling the lightning. So I may sit down and screw around with moving those stats around and see what kind of cleric I come up with. And I'll run it by you, or I'll run it by the group. And it's like, I want to play a fighter, but should I do this cleric instead? And we'll either way, we'll have all of our characters by the first game, which by the way, when is that first game?
I'm not sure because Rollo will be back playing next week, so maybe we'll do the first gaming session with Drew as DM in this new campaign next Wednesday, and then we'll have Rollo's game the following Wednesday. So I think that's what we'll do. So we have a week to prepare.
All right, we do the 18th, and then back to the game with Rollo on the 25th.
Indeed. Yeah, that's how that'll work. I think that's the day. The 18th will be yours. Campaign 2 and campaign 1 with Rollo will be the 25th. Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, I'm real excited about this new game. Not that I'm not having fun in our regular campaign, but I'm the whole Viking themed aspect of this is and it being pure or as close to pure
AD&D,
first edition as we can do on a weekly show a couple times a month or once a month or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's going to be really exciting.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm excited. The only downside with this format is that we can only do it for a few hours at a time instead of sitting down at a table for 7-8 hours. And
I totally agree with you. We can run longer. We can do for your campaign if you want to do 3-hour sessions. I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
is that going to work for everybody's schedule? I mean, it's fine with me. I'm
fine with that. I will lose sleep for a good game.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
I'm not so old that I have reached the point where I won't sacrifice sleep for the game. I'm not that old yet.
We're hardcore fucking geeks over here.
Although
D&D.
Yeah, and I think I'll agree. I think it was Bullrush who said it. I don't think I've ever seen Drew smile this much either. So that was Bullrush who said that. I'm right there with you.
Drew is sporting a nerd boner down in the swimsuit area.
I'm excited. I get I can't. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil.
Oh, come on. Rollo and TJ aren't here. We won't tell them. Promise.
But, there will be horror elements.
Oh, nice.
Of course, there will be all of the Norse influence and things. Just lots of classic sword and sorcery flavor set in that old Norse kind of setting. Although the entire northwest Europe is all dominated by that now. So, it's
going to be good.
So, speaking of which, with your character names, you might want to have something that's that sort of a.
A little more Norse. Okay, I'll have to think about that because my initial name was Malvis. That may not work.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Wolfgar is already taken.
Yeah, you have to fight with Ari Salvatore over that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bent. I don't know if Bent the burglar might.
You like that?
Well, he is a gnome, so
yeah. Bent will translate in any language as an annoying little girl.
Well, yeah, you can always look up that in Swedish or Norwegian or something like that, and that can be his proper name, and then just what we call him in the campaign. So
it could be his nickname.
Yeah,
blah blah blah, Bint, whatever.
Yeah, that works too. But whatever you guys decide you want to do with your characters, just let me know within the next couple of days, because one of the things that I'm going to try to do as I'm kind of outlining this, because it's not, oh man, and right now in another group, we're playing through some old basic expert modules, just because we wanted to play through some of them, but it's very linear. And this is not going to be like linear. So I don't have A happens, then B, then C, then D, then E, but rather kind of just a bunch of different loose plot points, things that would be cool to incorporate. And with anything, ultimately what it comes down to with putting together an adventure or a campaign is some bad person or group wants something very badly by some time, and for whatever reason, they're having difficulty getting it, and you guys are in the way and need to stop it. Almost every plot eventually, you could boil it down to that. So as long as they're
the best kind.
Huh?
They're the best kind of plots.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to. So I've got a bunch of different things that would be cool to happen that I'm going to fit into this based on what you guys do. But if I know exactly what your characters are, for example, if you're going to have a cleric versus a fighter, then I can tailor things a little bit more towards that. If whatever you guys do.
Yeah, I'll let you know something by the weekend, Drew.
Awesome. And then I'll also send, because I was going to, once I know what the characters are too, I will send over magical items for everybody. Because being at 5th level, you would already have some of this, and I actually have I already know how you get the items, and it plays into the intro to the story, but I don't want to say anything.
Gotcha.
It's the intro keeps. I've gone over about 4 different versions of this. So
it's gonna be good.
So it sounds like next Wednesday's show is one not to miss then.
Absolutely. Everyone who's watching / listening now and later on, you do not want to miss next Wednesday, the 18th, when Drew DMs the new campaign. Yes, the Raw's DMing campaign, the first game, is still going on. That will be on the 25th. But next Wednesday, the 18th, shall be the kickoff to the new campaign DM'd by Mr. Drew Bay.
I may have to get a special bottle of mead just to have it to drink in the game next week.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll have to get my eye patch and hood.
Are you gonna do your backgrounds too?
Thing. I need to do that. I've got a green screen. One of the things that pops up, but this thing it goes to here, so then you end up with 5 inches of bookcases and other crap in the background. So I need to get a better
screen. Yeah.
I need to get a better one, and I have to push it all the way so it's right up against the back of my chair, because I don't know. There's got to be some way to change the field of view of my camera. I don't know. It's
the aspect ratio of your camera.
Yeah. Is there a way to do that where I can get
there should be, if you go into the settings on the camera itself.
I'll try to do that. I'll try to figure that out, because it would be fun to have the backgrounds too, to change with the different environments. I can find a couple different ones.
Yeah.
I'll have to figure that out, because it's very frustrating to not be able to use a green screen for some of the stuff. It really does add ambiance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I had someone that listens to our show contact me on Twitter by DM to tell me that they really like the background I use when I have the camera on. And I'm like, I keep thinking about switching it, but just
it's a pain moving all those bookcases.
Books around. Yeah, but they were commenting because they thought it was a really nice backdrop, and I'm like,
there are some web conferencing services that will automatically.
Oh, Zoom will do that for you.
Yeah, and I wonder why is StreamYard not incorporated that? Because that would actually be handy. Because if I go in here and go into green screen. Virtual background. Not if I pop a thing in there,
It's
I've
very, you have
got
to,
back to it.
I do know that for StreamYard, they do have, you can green screen with StreamYard, but you have to have a really good video processor.
Well, that's not a problem. I've got a gaming laptop.
You should be fine then, yeah.
And a real like high end, what is this? Something like a 1080p Logitech camera that has ridiculous, frame rate and stuff. I went and I watched some not podcasting, but like YouTuber, how to do your stream and green screen and videos, and got a bunch of crap from that. But the fucking green screen just isn't wide enough. So the camera and everything is able to run it. I just need a wider green screen, and I need to narrow the field of view of the camera so that I don't have to push the green screen so that it's like right up back behind my chair here.
Yeah.
Speaking of podcasts and stuff, Drew, is that your new pull down bar that's hanging up behind you? Is that the one you had specially made?
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'll grab this thing.
Sorry if that's a little bit off topic, Vince, but I figured it fell under the masculine part of masculine.
It definitely, we're fine with tangents, and if it has to do with getting yourself into shape, that's fine.
So this is it, and the way that it's set up is the handles are angled in towards you, and this is on the cable. They're also angled up somewhat.
Oh, sweet.
So, because when you're doing, without going into a big long thing here, when you're doing a front grip pull down, you want a grip that is relatively close. When your elbows flex, the elbows flex along or around an axis that is angled and not perpendicular to the long axis of your arm. So the natural path of the elbow is to come up and in, not like this. If you do this, then this is comfortable. Doing this, you're externally rotating a little bit, and this is a little bit uncomfortable for the elbows, a little bit for the shoulders compared to this is just natural path. But if your hands are coming in like this, they are not parallel. The palms aren't parallel. Even if hands are supinated so that their palms are facing you, when you're in here, a comfortable angle is like this, not like that. And I'll try to do this without going into a long tangent. The reason that the handles are angled in and up towards the body is so that when you are using a grip that allows for a comfortable path for the elbows, so that they're coming like this instead of trying to pull like this, it puts the hands in a comfortable position. Also, if you'll notice the tops of my hands, my knuckles are angled down like this. They're not like this. If you use a straight bar, then as you're pulling, your wrists get bent to the side like that uncomfortably. And if the handle is straight, instead of having a grip where this handle lies across your palm, this is a comfortable angle for a bar to lie across the palm, not up here where you can't get the pinky and the ring finger around it all the way. So by having it angled, you're able to get those fingers all the way around there as well. So the angles, both in and up, were designed to allow a secure grip and comfortable wrist and elbow position when you're doing the pull down with the arms coming in here.
So it's about getting a full range of motion and a natural range of motion to your body so that you're maximizing your workout on the selected muscles.
It is about minimizing the stress on the elbows, wrists, and hands, accommodating the carrying angle of the elbows as you're doing the pull down. If you are pulling your wrists into the top of your chest and also flexing your trunk slightly so your elbows are into your sides, you're going to have relatively full range of motion for your elbows and for the shoulders.
Gotcha.
So some people, if they think you've got to take a grip like this and then pull your elbows way back behind here, you don't need to do that. If you get your elbows right to about your sides, and if you get your forearms in here by your chest, you're set for a pull down. I don't want to make this into an hour-long thing.
Right.
On the pull down. If people have questions, I can answer them. But the whole idea was just wrist and elbow comfort and more secure grip.
Gotcha. Cool.
And one more thing, afterthought. This was not part of the original design, but in designing it, I noticed that because of the angle of the handles, that this actually works well too for triceps press downs and for arm curls. And so I added a second attachment point that was 180 degrees from the handles to use for that. So if you hang it from this, you got your pull down handle. But if you hang it from this, you get triceps. Or if you go the other way, you've got biceps. So
that's cool. And that was custom made.
Huh?
You said that was custom made?
Yeah, it's custom made. This is the second one. I had the first one made, which was about 10 degrees lower. And I wanted it just a little angled up just a little bit further. And so I had this one made. And I wish I could remember. The guy's name is Alex Lasada. He's got a company, does CNC and machine work here in actually Winter Park, Florida. And I want to say Core Concepts. I can't remember the name of the company. If anybody's interested, he'll make it for you. I'll give you the information, and you can. It's not cheap. You're having it made one-off instead of manufactured in China. Also,
China's asshole.
This is like 9 gauge.
Holy shit! You could beat someone to death with that thing. And
this is 1/2-inch steel plate.
So basically, it's a cleric's blunt weapon.
It's a mace. That's a mace.
When we were talking about it, because this only needs to be 1/4 inch. This only really needs to be like 14 gauge is enough. But I like having a little bit of a heft to it, so 11 gauge. And also, it was actually less expensive for me to have it made heavier, because he already had a lot of this stuff on hand. He said, I've got the 1/2 inch, I've got this, I can make it, that's fine. So I said, it's fine. But something that a lot of people don't realize with these handle attachments, that it's actually beneficial sometimes to have a little bit more weight, because when you get a machine that is a cable machine, often the top plate is not 10 pounds, it's 20 pounds, or it's heavier, because it consists of the top plate and the pickup rod and all of the connecting hardware. And while most people are going to use a lot more than that, if you're doing training, a lot of people get into personal training. They think that they're going to be working with bodybuilders and athletes and fitness models and stuff. But most of the money is in training middle-aged housewives, busy executives, and old people. That's where the money is. And so having a handle that has some heft to it, the handle, the weight of the handle is subtracted from the weight on the weight stack. So you get a small woman or an elderly person,
what the fuck?
And they have a little bit of a heavier handle. It reduces the starting weight of the machine, so it's not as difficult for them. It's actually a problem with some exercise equipment if you're using it for elderly populations or for rehab. So,
gotcha.
Cool.
Okay. I like it. Sweet.
So James, how are you doing? Are you back to working normal now? Doing your voiceovers and your narrations?
No narrations as of yet. Among other things, my family got COVID.
Oh, no shit.
So I wasn't going to be going anywhere else for.
You have to quarantine yourself in one room?
With them?
Jesus.
Yeah.
I pray for you. If I play a cleric, I will cast a prayer to Odin to watch over you.
Seriously.
I appreciate that. No. It was surprisingly more quiet around here than it usually is. But I was a little worried because I got a birthday party for my buddy on the 15th, and then I got a wedding for one of my high school friends on the 19th. So I wanted to make sure I would be, available for it. But besides that, it's been work. I think I posted the not last week. It was a week before last week. I returned to the newsletter and I posted about the different some of the different freelancers I've been working on.
Yeah,
I have another one in the pipe for some of my other freelancers. I closed out a contract with one of them, and it's been interesting. It's back to myself and my co-writer with a little bit of influence from a few freelancers that we're working with. We're finishing up our current tabletop project and getting ready for the next one is a really important thing.
Nice.
It's
now,
been
where did you find these freelancers?
So I posted on Twitter.
Really?
Yeah, I was literally just on Twitter saying, "Hey, I need retweets for this. Does anybody know where I can find people in the tabletop industry?" Right, writers for the tabletop industry. I might have actually said freelancers.
You know what was good for that kind of request? When Google Plus was still a thing.
I completely missed out on that one. That ended before actually, I finished high school, I think it was.
Yeah, and that sort of died off. It was like the Betamax tape. But the Google Plus was good for finding freelance and artists and right. That's how I found my editor. For the first book. So
that last newsletter was
surprisingly useful for it.
Yeah, that last newsletter was a busy one because you had something. You had Vince and James had something for the first time in a while, and TJ had something.
TJ
did not have Bupkis for a change.
James did not have his usual Bupkis. He's Bupkis. Nope. He was non-Bupkis. So according to what he's just said, this next upcoming newsletter, he will be in it.
Yeah. And
nice.
More positive, actually, this one will be somebody where I'm really shitting on somebody.
Oh, fantastic! It'll be good entertainment then.
Yeah, then I'll save. I think the last one is going to be the one that was really had a delightful time with. She's getting ready for wedding prep and stuff like that. An engagement party and stuff like that.
This is your freelancer?
No. This is somebody who lives on the other side of the planet.
Okay.
Very interesting and very different culture, and I am looking forward to having her on for our next project because, geez, she just knocked everything out of the park.
Oh, good.
And made everything more, which is why I'm saving her for last because I really want to get it out of my old Jimbo Bupkis. 45, 70.
There you go.
So is this it's been your new game? The lady you're talking about, is this for your new project, your new game, or
no? So I'm going to bring her on for the magazine because the magazine we're planning on doing a tabletop focused magazine, and hopefully going to be able to branch out into a few different
electronic or physical copy.
Going with electronic, definitely, and then we can provide because I've done this before. I know how to provide physical fulfillment. So we'll probably have a physical option.
Yeah, just go with a gang press and then you cut your cost.
Exactly.
Cool.
But no, so it's we're gonna start that up because that lets Sasha Creativity have a consistent income stream and a consistent interaction with other freelancers, and let's pay freelancers more. And that's the point at which I can go back to having a day job because I will not be literally in charge of every single thing that's going on.
That's nice. Yeah.
That's going to be nice.
You get fucking overwhelmed and shit, and you're really cutting into your time.
Yeah. That's the thing is having other people to do small tasks. Mm-hmm. And this is why I started shitting on some people when it came to the freelancer essays is because they were keeping me from interacting with better workers. And they were, I know how to provide physical.
You're in trouble now.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I am.
You can always count on Bullrush to take everything you say out of context and turn it into a funny meme for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, he has a habit of taking the Bullrush by the horns. That's for certain.
That is.
See, I'm familiar with this because I have another person who's in my tabletop corner of Twitter, because this is not the only corner of Twitter I exist in. Will clip things to make it look like I am 16 years old.
That's pretty.
And has a habit of spreading the rumor that I'm in fact a minor.
Apparently, someone won 420 Cafe with Brojo. You want to see our name, so I'm assuming I haven't seen you here before. So welcome for number one, and number two. Pardon the scatological entendre. Number two. There you go. Those are names for you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, James, you might as well consider with the three of us on the panel. You might as well be a 16-year-old.
Yeah, basically.
with the age disparity. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. I mean, what was Jesus? I'm 24 now. I'm old, but not as old.
No. Yeah, some of us have at least another quarter century on you.
Exactly, which is interesting. That's been most of my life is being friends with older guys and stuff like that. And drawing from their experiences.
That's helpful.
It is.
Oh, it's kind of how it should be in various degrees.
Indeed.
You know, and in certain cultures it was like that. Although some of the cultures you can, you know, some of the stuff with the Greeks is a bit sketchy, and we'll just leave it at that.
One aside. Maybe that's not the recommendation we at Masculine Geek are making.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You wish homeschool, you big homo, you. Yes, and Drew is the fitness. I would buff is kind of ghetto and lame. That's just really
not a fitness buff, an exercise professional.
Exactly. Yeah.
Make my living teaching people how to not be idiots in the gym.
Yes, and you do that very well. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you've got the proofs in the pudding as well. So
exactly.
You know.
Exactly. All right, everyone. We have come up to the hour mark, and I like to keep the fireside chats around an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. So we're going to go short today as far as time-wise. Everyone who's new to Masculine Geek who has joined us tonight, I thank you very much. Go subscribe. Go to the Twitter page. We've hit the 3,000 Twitter subscriber mark. Go make that 3,001.
Very nice.
Put next Wednesday in your calendar. Set an alert. Set an alarm. Buy some mead so that you're ready to watch along with us.
Indeed.
I even have a drinking horn ready to go. Are you kidding?
Oh,
I got my
fantastic.
helm. I've got my drinking horn.
Nice.
There, what is it called? A grim. Oh, I can't remember the name. I got my Mjolnir necklace from them. Grimfrost.
Oh yeah,
there's a company called Grimfrost that has just a ton of great Viking stuff they get, and they've got the drinking horns in all different sizes. However, you cannot drink sodas or hot liquids. You can't drink coffee. It's water or beer, apparently, is all you're able to drink out of those drinking horns. So I might need to get one and figure out a way to seal the inside so that I can use it for my Mountain Dew.
There you go.
But I love their stuff. You know what? I'm going to have to order the shit and have it shipped here. And actually, and now that you mentioned MegaCon, I don't think it was. Maybe it was MegaCon. I went to one in Orlando a couple of years ago, and they had a bunch of places that were selling all this costume stuff. You know, almost like Ren Fair costume stuff. And some of the craftsmanship, now there was some that was like cheap, shitty, crappy, like costume stuff, and there was other that was the craftsmanship was impressive, and even some of the dice, the custom dice people were making. But there was a guy at one of these that was selling all this stuff. I think even had some rune kits with rune stones and things too. I have a business card. I need to stock up on all that.
You do. You have to, like, as soon as we're done this broadcast, you have to go order some shit.
I need to get some rune stones so that we can use those for things in the game.
Cool.
Definitely.
All right, gentlemen. Let's go around and do some housekeeping here. Robert, where can everyone find you?
Robert Kuzlin on Twitter, on YouTube, and of course you can always look for me hanging out at the Masculine Geek. So thank you very much.
Absolutely, and always a pleasure. James, how about yourself?
You can find me for the moment, you can find me on nationalcreativity.com. I'm going to be posting an update there soon about Eyes of the Forest issue number 2. That was the one thing I forgot to mention was we're development surging ahead on that. I've been playing around with a first-person segment for the second comic, which has been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
So yeah, you can find me on nationalcreativity.com and on Twitter at nationalcreativity.
Nice. And last but not least, Drew.
I can be found at baye.com. It's just BAYE.com. And if you're looking for physical fulfillment, I will not provide anybody with physical fulfillment, but I will help you.
Thank you for not crowding out my market.
And lean so that other people will want to provide you with physical fulfillment. So again, it's baye.com, BAYE.com. And I really don't have anything that I've got books that I'm trying to get done that a bunch. So we had things happen this summer and I'm a little behind on those, but now that's really it. I want you all to be there next Wednesday for the D&D session. Quite frankly, I'm more excited about that right now.
All right, cool. Everyone be there next Wednesday. I will go ahead and create the StreamYard, and obviously the YouTube will kick in after that. Go mark your calendars, make a reminder. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, go do so. Sign up for the Masculine Geek newsletter. Head over to masculinegeek.life. Read what we're about and see if that's something you want to join. All right, gentlemen, until then, keep the fires burning. Keep that lead flying down range. And always, always, always keep the wine, the liquor, and the mead flowing. James, take us out.
All right. Listen. Wait, you just got all that. Wait, no. Okay. Keep the lead flying down range.
That's what I just said.
Any wooden nickels.
There you go. That's the one I was looking for.
No wooden nickels.
No wooden nickels, you fuckers.
See, TJ's done it for the past couple of times.
May the wings of liberty never lose a feather.
Exactly. I just put you on the spot.
Yeah, water your local tree of liberty.
And if you want physical fulfillment from James, please tuck more than $1.
That's right. All right, everyone, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening later, you latecomers, you fuckers, you magnificent bastards. Make sure you like and share in the video and leave a comment. Go ahead and leave a comment. It helps the YouTube algorithm, tickles the YouTube vagina to get us up there in the exposure, as it were. Not
Makes
the physical
Mama Susan happy.
Exactly, not the physical fulfillment, but definitely the exposure.
No fulfillment for Susan.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Aw.
Adorable.